Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Nan here I'm one of the Sunday school teachers at Christ Church United Methodist, and I'm joined today to teach Sunday school with Miss Ilene Beckett. She's waving at you there, and Miss Emily.
Hello.
So today we're going to talk about Paul writing letters, and I'm going to show you a picture that was sent with the material on Facebook or probably in the email that your parents got about Christ Church. And this is a picture of Paul, and he's writing a letter. And I want you to pay attention here. We'll talk about this. Look what he's writing with. He's got a candle, and he's got a feather. So now, if we want to write a letter, what do? Well, we send a text message, for an email. But before that, and we still do it, you can write a letter, dear so-and-so, with your ballpoint pen. Now, when I was a kid, we had ballpoint pens, but we also had to learn how to write a letter or write any words with something called a cartridge pen. And a cartridge pen is an ink pen like this that didn't have ink in it. And you would take this cartridge of ink and snap it in there. And then it was almost like a quill pen at the bottom, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you had to learn to write with that. And the ink was all wet. So what would happen is if you got your hand in it, it would smear everywhere. And it was really difficult. And the other thing is that if you held it in one place too long, all the ink would leak out and blop everywhere. It was very difficult. Well, that is what Paul had to do. Except it was even harder when he wrote letters because he used what's called a quill. See this right here? And it's a feather, and you kind of cut the end off, and then you dip it in ink, and you get a little bit of tiny ink, and you write like one letter, and then you dip it again, and it was just, I'm sure, very difficult, but nevertheless, Paul wrote all kinds of letters. So the first thing we're going to do, since we just talked about quills and parchment, because Paul didn't have paper, he wrote on something called parchment. And what parchment was, it kind of looks like if you took a brown paper bag from the grocery store and wrinkled it up and then smoothed it out, and then wrinkled it up and smoothed it out, and did that a couple times. That's kind of what parchment looked like. And parchment is actually the skin of an animal, and that's all they had to write on because they didn't have paper back then. So after class, here's just a fun thing you can do. This is matching up the quills and the parchment and the ink pots, and you match up one on this side with one on the other side. I kind of drew a dotted line for this first one, and that's what you can do after class along with coloring your picture of Paul writing a letter. So the next thing I want to do is, because we're trying to teach you guys different things about the Bible, and one of the things that we're trying to teach you is the names of the Bible, the names of the books of the Bible. You all know that there's an Old Testament and a New Testament, and the New Testament is all about Jesus and what happened after Jesus was born. The first 4 books, as you know, are the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then there's Acts. We did a lot of Paul, was mentioned a lot in Acts, and that's the Acts of the early church, what they did, how they acted. So that's how you can remember it. Then we have Romans, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, and Colossians. That's a mouthful. I thought, how are we going to remember that? Well, someone suggested that you could remember it by ready, come, go, eat popcorn. So ready is for Romans, come is for 1 and 2 Corinthians, go is for Galatians, eat is Ephesians, pop is Philippians, and corn is Colossians. So our book story today, or our Bible story today, is actually from Philippians. And the interesting part about it, I think, is that when Paul wrote it, he was in prison. So we're going to talk about that. Before we do, we're going to play a game. I like games, don't you? Let me see here. Let me find my game. Here we go. So what I want you to do is I'm going to tell you different things about Paul. And if they're true, you do what I tell you to do. And if they're not true, then you just stay in your seat. You don't get up and move around. So this is true, you do what I tell you to do. If it's not true, don't be fooled. Stay in your seat. So let's see. At first, Paul did not like the followers of Jesus. If that is true, stand up, put your hands on your hip, and stomp your feet. I hope everybody's stomping. Okay, how about Paul went to the city to put the followers of Jesus in the circus? If that's true, pretend to ride an elephant in a circus parade. Oh, I wish that were true because I'd like to see each of you pretending to ride an elephant, but it's not true. While Paul was traveling to the city, he saw a bright light. If that's true, get down on your knees and cover your eyes. Oh, I see people on their knees and covering their eyes. That's great. All right, hop back up and sit down. The bright light made it so that Paul started to see rainbows. If that's true, twirl around twice. I hope nobody's twirling. Paul heard the voice of Jesus talking to him. Now, if you think that's true, if you remember that, then cup your hand around your ears. Everybody should be cupping right now because that is true. A man named Ananias helped Paul to see again. If that's true, blink your eyes 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hope you guys all blinked because that is true. Paul changed and followed Jesus. If that's true, jump up and shout, hooray. Just to see if I can hear you. Hooray! Yes, that is true. Isn't that a fun way to review the Bible lessons that we've had over the last couple of weeks? So now I'm going to read you our Bible story from today. And as I told you, it's from Philippians. And remember that Paul is in prison and he writes a letter to the people who lived in Philippi. And that's why it's called Philippians, because he's writing this letter. This is from Philippians 4, verses 4 through 14. And this is what Paul wrote in his letter. Paul wrote a letter to the people who worshiped together in the town of Philippi. Paul said, be glad always. Be gentle with all people. Don't be anxious. Don't worry. Instead, pray to God about the things that are upsetting you. Tell God, thank you. When you do these things, you'll feel peace. Paul continued writing, do your best to focus on all that is true, holy, just or fair, pure, and worthy of praise. Practice what you've learned and received, heard, or have seen other faithful people do. God's peace will be with you. Even when life is hard, God gives us strength and helps us to be thankful. Isn't that awesome? So to help kind of think about that and all about Paul, we're going to ask Miss Emily to teach us a song right now.
All right. Hi, boys and girls. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see the words to this song. Give me 1 second here. All right. Miss Nan, can you see my screen? Okay, so you know that I like to teach you songs that go to a tune of a song that you already know, but we change the words to it. So we are going to sing this song. It is 2 verses to the tune of Do You Know the Muffin Man? Do you know the Muffin Man? That one, okay? So this is just a little review reminding us who Paul is, how he became a follower of Jesus. And then the second verse reminds us that we can also be followers, just like Paul was. We can follow Jesus because he is our friend and he shows us the right way to go. So if you can sing along with me to the tune of Do You Know the Muffin Man, we're going to sing these 2 verses together. Here we go. Paul became a follower, a follower, a follower. Paul became a follower of Jesus, our dear friend. I can be a follower, a follower, a follower. I can be a follower of Jesus, our dear friend. And that is a great reminder for us.
Thank you, Miss Emily. That was
Yes.
fun. So, we've talked about how the Bible is divided into two parts, the Old Testament, which tells the story of the beginning of God's people, and then the New Testament, which tells us the story of Jesus and the people who follow Jesus. So today, we're going to practice a refrain and kind of retell our story. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to practice this refrain. It's going to go, be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad. And we're going to do hand emotions with it, just for fun. Be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad. So whenever I hold up my finger, that's when we're going to do the be glad, be glad. That's my cue to let you know to start in your be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad, okay? So here we go. Paul wrote letters to tell people about Jesus. Today's story is a letter that Paul wrote to the followers of Jesus who lived in a city called Philippi. In this letter, Paul wrote, be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad. Be gentle with everyone. Don't worry. Talk to God about everything and ask God for help. Remember to say thank you to God. God will help you feel calm and peaceful. So, be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad. Think about good things that are true, holy, just, pure, and worthy of praise. Practice what you've learned from other people who love God. God will help you feel calm and peaceful. So, be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad. I, that's Paul talking, have learned to be happy all the time. When I'm hungry or full, when I have a lot or a little, God gives me strength so that I can be glad, be glad. Again, I say be glad. Wonderful job. Thank you all. Let's see here. So the next fun thing we're going to do is, as you know, I'm looking for my little thing here. We have been practicing this Bible verse right here. And it says, I can endure all these things through the power of the one who gives me strength. And it's from Philippians 4, verse 13. It's kind of hard to remember. So today, to help us remember it, I'm going to teach you some sign language. And then we can sign, and that will help us remember the words to this verse. I can endure all things through the power of the one who gives me strength. That means I can handle anything if I rely on the one who gives me strength, which is God. So the first thing we're going to learn is I. That's this. You just point to yourself, I. And then we're not going to learn every single word, but we're going to learn some of the words. Endure. It means, hang in there, hang tough. So you hold your right hand in a fist and you put your thumb up in the air, and then you touch your thumb to the side of your nose and wiggle it down in a line across your mouth. So there we go, to your chin. Okay, now we're going to learn all. So you hold the left palm, that would be, I don't even know how to take your left, but probably the one you don't write with. Your left hand toward the body, and then you take your other hand, your right hand, and you circle it around like this, and then you put your back of your right hand into the palm of your left hand. Ah. And then now we're going to learn power. All right. So this one's fun. You put your fist up like this, and you pull it across. Power. So we're going to do those. I endure all power. All right, we're going to do 4 more. Ready? 1, meaning, one person. We're going to also, we can think of it because we're pointing to God. So 1, and then give. Now, give is you take your fingers like this, and you act, I look like I'm going to hit you there. I'm not. You give it to somebody. It's like give. And then the last word we're going to learn, there's only 3 on this line, is strength. And And I like this one. You take your hands and put them right here kind of in front of your shoulders and your fingers are apart. And then you pull them into a fist and kind of pull down. Like, strong, strength, or courage is another way to do that sign language. So I can endure all these things, the power of the one who gives me strength. So now I'm going to say the verse, and I'm going to act out the sign language, and I want you to join in. We'll do it 2 times. So in case you mess up the first time, or in case I mess up the first time, we can try again. We'll do it the second time, okay? Here we go. I can endure all things through the power of the one who gives me, whoops, I messed up, strength. Okay, but we're getting there. Let's try it again. I can endure all things through the power of the one who gives me strength. Yay, we did it. Okay. All right, so now we're going to have another song about our Bible verse. Miss Emily, take it away.
Yes, so our song, we're going to stick with the same tune that we used for the other one. And we are going to use 2 of those sign language signs that we just learned. Whenever you hear the word endure in the song, I'm going to show you the words, but when you see it coming up, I want you to do that. Do the sign for endure. And then the other word that you're going to see that we learned is strength. And remember, that's the one, start here, kind of clench your fists together and pull down. So we're going to have endure and strength in our song, okay? So let me get the words pulled back up here. Let's see. So many things on my screen. Okay. All right, so this one is 3 verses, but we're going to stick with the same tune. Do you know who gives you strength? Okay, same tune as the Muffin Man. So when you hear strength, remember you're going to pull down and endure. Do you know who gives you strength? Who gives you strength? Gives you strength. Do you know who gives you strength and helps you to endure? Yes, I know who gives me strength, who gives me strength, who gives me strength. Yes, I know who gives me strength and helps me to endure. And then we're going to say who that is. Jesus is the one who gives, the one who gives, one who gives. Jesus is the one who gives and helps us to endure. So we actually had gives in there too. I hope you caught on to that. Thank you.
Good job. All right. How about, who would like to do a craft? I love doing crafts. Miss Eileen, could you show us a cool craft today? Why don't you unmute and help us learn the craft? And remember, while she's doing the craft, she told me there's a lot of coloring. So if you are not able to keep up with the coloring, and I don't expect that you will be, then you can just hit pause and you catch up to where Miss Eileen is, and then you go ahead and push play again on your Facebook or YouTube, however you're watching it. Miss Eileen, do you have it? Are you with us there?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course she is. All right, take it away.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome. I hope you enjoy our craft today. Our lesson was so much about how we can use the Bible to make us feel better, to endure things, and to be happy and be grateful and thankful. Well, some of our crafts today lead along that same line. We all worry sometimes, you know, it's even as children, we worry about a tummy ache, or we'll worry about our doggy's not here and we wish we knew where he was. I think I knew where mine went. And then we worry about little things that just really don't make us feel very good, but everyone worries. But the Bible says, don't worry, because God is with you and He will take care of you. But sometimes that's harder said than done. So if we go to Bible verses in the Bible, there are words that help us feel better about what's going on. And so the first thing I want to show you to do is to make this worry jar. To put our verses in, you can either use a plastic jar like this is, a tin can that your mother emptied for a vegetable or something for your meal, and you can paint it and decorate it. There are so many ideas because you're so creative. And I put the words worry jar on my jar because the printout that you will get has the words worry jar, the instructions, and the verses. So I'm going to read a couple of these to you because they really do speak to us. And you may have heard a couple a minute ago being spoken. It says, give all your worries and cares to God because he cares for you. Another one, this is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Isn't that comforting? Well, there are several of these verses that tell us something that we can do to help us feel better and to relax and not worry so much. So in your download, you can have a copy of, I only did 5 little verses, so you can take these 5 verses. You can either color around the words or not. I didn't. I just left mine white and did a sticker on the end. And you can use any wonderful sticker that you really like to use on the end of yours. So now you have this download. If you want to color them, do that first. Then you're going to lightly glue all over this page. And you know I always have trouble getting the glue to start the first time. There we go. Not heavy. You're just going to do it light. So you're just going to go lightly up and down, clear across. Can you see? Clear across your paper, up and down. And I'm just squeezing very gently, so a light layer of glue is coming on to, even though you can't see it very well. I'm going to go around the edges. Okay, clear down around the edge again. Okay, that's enough glue to make it stick on. So now you're going to take this glue side with your construction paper and fit them together like this, because they may not be the same size. Rub them really good so they'll stick. And if you want to wait to let them dry, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and cut one out to show you what I need to do. I have lines here for you to cut on so you can keep it straight. And see, mine has a bottom, so I'm going to cut it off as well. Didn't cover the entire page. Okay, so here's my verse, like I did here, and you can cut, if you want to color, you should have already done it, and then put your sticker on and put it in your jar, your can, or a box, whatever you have chosen. So I'm going to let you finish that on your own because you have more time to make it as perfect as you'd like or as designed as you'd like. Now, what you need to do with this jar is you can put it in your room where you can pull out verses or have maybe mom or someone read the verses to you, or you can share it with the whole family and put it in your living room or dining room or kitchen. And when someone's feeling kind of worried or sad, the whole family can share and help you through that bad moment. So enjoy your worry jar, make it as pretty as you can. And the next thing, because we're learning about the first Christians and about the first church and about Paul writing letters to all of these churches, encouraging them to read the Bible and to be the best Christians they can be. And those are good rules to follow. So here is the church that you can find in your downloads. And this church is kind of special because it has some fun parts to it. And we're not going to color them all together today because of you wanting to do a better job than we can do here on the program we're on now. So you have 2 parts to this. The church. And see all these people in here. And then you're going to have a door. I printed out 2 doors in case one gets destroyed and you need another one to work on. But anyway, the first thing we need to do is to color this church. And if you look very closely, you'll see a lot of people inside. And there, as you can see, there's boys and dads and girls. And so you can color those in the color of clothes that you think they might be wearing. Then if you look closer, you're going to need to add eyes. I've done a few of those, the mouth, and you're going to have to put hair on them. But that's going to take you a long time to do that. And so I want you to do it on your own time so that you can get it all finished. And then the other thing that I thought was fun, it has, you know how some churches have beautiful stained windows? Well, we can color those stained windows all different colors. And I'm going to do one of those for you now. I'm just going to pick up 4 crayons because there are 4 sections to the window. And you can either color them different or all the same. But each little section can be a different color. But that's going to take you quite some time, so you'll be able to do this on your own. So see how pretty that made that window? So I can either do every window with the same design, or I can pick all kinds of colors because church windows have beautiful colors. Now, once you've colored all of this, and it looks like this, guess what I forgot? You got to color your door before you cut it out. So let's look at the doors. I'm going to color my door. Oh, I kind of like red. I don't know if churches have red doors, but mine does. So I'm going to color the door real quickly. You can do a better job with your own time, I'll tell you. The top I'm going to color yellow because it reminds me of maybe light going in. Okay, so I've quickly, very messily colored this. I'm going to cut it out. Now you need to pay very close attention. I have the one door ready to cut clear around the outer edge. So I'm going to start, don't cut off these little white edges. You're going to use those. So I'll go to the top of it, cut around the arch. Now remember, I'm down here now to this other little white piece. I have to leave that on because glue is going to go on there. And I need to cut the bottom as well because I didn't trim it. Okay, this is my door. So these little edges, see that little dotted line on each side? That's your fold line. So I'm going to fold on that dotted line, the 2 sides. See, you can't see them now. They're back here. Okay, now the next tricky part, you have to be very careful with your scissors. You're going to cut in the middle of this dark line going up here, and you're going to stop right there and cut this way and stop. You don't want to cut over that. You're going to cut this way and stop. Don't cut through there. You'll lose your arch on top. Okay, watch. Can you see? I don't know whether I can do it this way or not. Okay, here we go. Be careful there now. You can cut right through it if you're not careful. Over to the dotted line, not through it. See how I've cut just to the dotted line? I'm still hanging, my door is still hanging in. Stop at that, or even before the dotted line. Okay, so now I have this all cut out, ready to glue. So now I'm going to lay this down on my table and glue just those 2 little white strips. Okay, see the glue? Can you see the glue on there? All right, I'm going to take my church now, and by now you will have colored your church. See, pretend like you have it all colored, and I'm going to lay this door See, you can see where the arch is. Oh, that's kind of hard. Let me lay it down and show you. It goes underneath the cross that's on top. Okay. So see how your door fits in there? It fits over the people and right under the cross. So once you have that all finished, you can open the doors and there's the people. And if you were in church one Sunday many weeks ago, Pastor Jay did a little rhyme and it went like this. This is the church, and you would do the front line. This is the steeple, like the front, this is the steeple. This is the church, this is the steeple. Open the door and here's the people. So the church is the people. Let's do it again. This is the church. Your hands are together, fingers under. Then your two pointer fingers go up, and this is the steeple. Open the door, and here's the people. Have fun with your craft, and if you get it finished and want to share with us next week, we'd love to see how it turned out. Have a good week. Thank you.
Bye, boys and girls.
Well, Emily,
Oh,
before we
I
sign off,
forgot.
okay, let's say a prayer together. So I am going to say the prayer, and then I want you guys to just repeat it after me. I'll do it sentence by sentence. It's a short prayer because I want us to remember our lesson, which is no matter what's happening, if we're worried, we can pray, and then we can be glad because we know that God's in control and He's watching out over us. And I think it's just amazing that Paul was in prison and he wrote that. And then, Miss Eileen, I think the crafts you did are just awesome. And I'm going to make that worry jar because I need that because I get really stressed out sometimes. I think adults can use that too. It was really great. Miss Emily, thank you for the songs. So we're going to review our Bible verse real quick, and then we're going to say the prayer. So I can endure all things through the power of the one who gives me strength. Great job. All right, so I'm going to say, and you guys just repeat after me. Dear God, thank you for always listening to my prayers. Please help me feel your peace. Amen. Okay. That's it for this week. If you guys make either the worry jar or do your quill or color or do that adorable church, which I just love, please post it on Facebook underneath the lesson. Have your mom or dad or parent or brother or sister, somebody post it on there because we miss seeing you, but at least we can see your artwork. So we'll see you next week. You guys have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye.